Hello, everybody. This is Apostate Linda James, your favorite apostate, and we're starting the show slightly after 9 p.m. But we had the chance to have a previous show to honor Vinnie Vincent. He passed away at the end of last month, which was December 2025. Today is January 3rd, 2026. And I'm just going to go with how the night flows, and whatever comes to mind, we're just going to kind of talk about it. And if you have any suggestions in the chat, I would really appreciate you bringing them up. But I kind of like the way things went tonight with speaking about Vinnie Vincent. He was very much one of a kind. How does your week go, Matthew?
My week was bittersweet. I had some difficulties, had a meltdown that wasn't cool, but also had some real blessings as well. So that's how life goes.
Okay.
And it's good. It's good to be with you all. Yeah. So yeah, I had some pains, had some difficulties, and of course, I think maybe that's the theme because we think about Vinny here, and I see in the comments Sheila started off saying these chats are invaluable as one escapes any type of dangerous high control groups because we're dealing with life.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that you admitted that you had a meltdown. It's like it wasn't my proudest moment, but I had a meltdown.
Yeah.
So for to have you admit that just right off the bat, just makes me laugh. I can relate. And Sparky Blog has joined us. Welcome, Sparky. Thanks for coming over here. And we ended that last live stream where we honored Vinnie Vincent. And I usually do a Let's Talk thing on Saturday nights where I call it a cyber meetup, which I stole from I stole from Wild Wall. He spoke of, when we get together and do these live streams that they're like a cyber meetup. So I stole that from him. That's what I call it, that we get together and have a cyber meetup. And I sometimes talk about different subjects, but tonight I don't have one, and I'm just going to free flow it.
Linda James, can I chat with Sparky, please?
Yes, and by the way, I can't bring up the chat on my phone, so when and if you're ready, I'm going to be relying on you to read comments, okay? But go hang out, guys. Go ahead and hang out. Yeah.
Sparky, I'm so glad you're able to come across because, as you were talking and giving stories and telling us about your life and just being so candid, I was thinking, it's not always about having the answers. It's about honoring lives and honoring the grief. Yeah.
Yes.
You can say that, but, just honoring the courage that it takes to speak after spiritual harm. We have to just acknowledge that many here are carrying more than one loss. And I say towards the community, you don't have to carry it alone right now because, when a man is recounting deaths and reclaiming power, his power, it helps to reflect both truths, the grief and the reclaiming. And I wanted to say thank you very much for being vulnerable and trusting us with something so heavy, because what you're describing just isn't weakness, it's love, it's strength, and it's continuing after loss. And the fact that you're speaking now on your own terms, it's a form of survival and dignity.
Thank you, Matthew. But I don't know any other way than to be honest and just to tell the truth.
Yeah, because look, many of us were taught to suppress that truth, isn't it? That was the automaton harm, the spiritual.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. And thank you for those kind words.
Thank you, Sparky. I'm glad to be with you. I really am. And we are have been taught to suppress grief. We're taught to, what is it, spiritualize pain or move on too quickly. But now, just in the time that we have been together, I see something very, very different, and it's letting grief be human and not doctrinal.
Oh yeah. But Matthew, I was raised by a Korean War veteran, my dad. And when I would cry, he would say, "Suck it up, boy. Quit crying."
Yeah.
And to me, that's okay, because he made me tough. There are certain things in life that are worth crying over. Some things are not. And I'm so grateful that he made me tough. But I'm so thankful that I'm married to the woman that I'm married to, because she has taught me, and we've gone through some training I won't get into right now, but we've gone through some training that has taught me on a college level how to have compassion for other people that the organization does not train you for. There are some vicious people in the organization that are in how can I say it, in powerful places that have no compassion. It's when somebody says something, don't take what they say and run with it. A wise man will stop and say, why did they say what they said? What were they feeling? When somebody gets mad at you, for example, okay, maybe they had a bad day. What is going on in their life? If they say something offensive, don't be offended. Try to have some wisdom and some perception and discernment and figure out what's going on with them. And then you can have compassion and some tender understanding of what they're going through.
Gentlemen, I'm going to step away. I'm going to step away for a few minutes, and I'm going to be right back. So I just want to say that.
We'll hold the fort with Sparky here, if that's all right.
But
yeah, I know you were saying, Sparky, I'm all ears here.
So what I've learned in my 55 years of living, when somebody says something offensive to me, do I choose to be offended? No. My life is going great according to how I choose to control my life. Because they're having a bad day, I don't have to have a bad day. But I can have some tender compassion and try to understand, okay, why did they say what they said? Have a little understanding. And just because somebody offends you is not the end of your world, not the end of a friendship. If you reach out to them and say, I know you're having a bad day, what's going on with you? And then that is when sometimes the best friendships form.
Yeah. Yep. But you know what you're saying there, there is a bewilderment, and we got to acknowledge it because it makes complete sense. You know, many people coming out of, I say, the wheat and the weeds, right? The weeds of the JW system. They get hit with the same wall of shock. Not that just harm happened, but that it came from people claiming moral and spiritual authority. And I look at it and I go, you know, there's a dissonance there that's deeply destabilizing. Deeply. But then what's important? Well, sorry, Sparky, go ahead. I talked too much.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying yes. No, go ahead. Go carry on.
Sparky, you know what's important, and I think you can speak from the school of hard knocks, is how this is spoken about in a healing space. You know, Linda James, I'm amazed at what's been accomplished here and with the network, because it validates reality without turning pain into more injury. And there are ways to name it clearly. You said it. I picked it up immediately. You said, well, the only way I know how to deal with this is truthfully. That's the safe path, right?
Yep.
Because that's naming the shock without losing humanity. Because
Don't put on a facade. Do not put on a facade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People sense it, you know, intuitively they sense it. One of the hardest things to reckon is realizing that people in positions of spiritual authority behaved in ways that were profoundly unethical, sometimes cruel. I mean, this is how you get the label that Dallas employs, witch tower.
Yeah.
And I hear Rick Ferrin saying, what an evil cult, what an evil organization. Because of that cruelty that comes through, that's what's remembered. You know, and it overshadows whatever positivity that was there. While believing, or these people believing, they themselves are righteous, that realization feels bewildering, and even creates this feeling. I don't know if you could say it better, but it's surreal. you go, I can't believe this. This isn't. Am I, you know, seeing things here, you know? But reaffirming in a space like this the experience without exaggeration, you know, because you can also go the other way. You can over sensationalize the story. It's finding that place which is going, no, this is what it was true. This is distinguishing the behavior from the essence, and it helps prevent people from feeling that they must hate to heal, because you can't. You know, we're not talking about monsters or caricatures. We're talking about ordinary people who were given unaccountable power, and that's the problem, inside a closed system, and who caused real harm because that system rewarded obedience over conscience. So guess what? We're in a better place. That's grounding. That's accurate.
It's called freedom.
Yeah. And that's naming the moral injury, because many XJWs and survivors, they suffer moral injury, not just trauma. And what hurts isn't only what was done to us, and perhaps persons who are in a captive situation, is that it violated our deepest sense of right and wrong. And so when wrongdoing is framed as, oh, well, this is God's will, the injury cuts much deeper. This is Jehovah, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear it, you know,
No,
because that brings visible.
And they do it all under the name of righteousness.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an elder. I'm this. I'm that, and whatever. And it just makes no sense to me.
That's right.
You don't have to be smart to know how to behave. You don't have to have a high education to know how to treat your fellow man, fellow companion with love and dignity. You just have to have a mutual respect and a deep, sincere kindness for each other. And nobody has to conform to our standards.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, if without necessarily putting you on the spot, and if I make you uncomfortable, I apologize.
Matthew, I want you to put me on the spot. Go ahead. Hey, I'm very coarse, okay? I deal with don't preface anything with apologies. Hit me with the question. I'll answer you if I want to.
Yeah, well, you know, I think
you are a very eloquent and kind man, and I appreciate that. But hit me,
Sparky. Your spirit comes through. So, look, I wanted to ask you, when this word evil comes up, how do we contextualize it? Because, when people say evil, in my humble opinion, right, that's all it is. Often what they're pointing to is behavior that shows, as you said, a profound lack of empathy. And that's not a masterclass. That's not a university degree. That's ethics. It's when there is a profound lack of empathy or accountability or care, usually because there's no transparency, and that's the policy. That's the protection by power, is the closed room, the closed door. I just wanted to know how you contextualize this evil, because
It's very simple to me.
Yeah,
it's very simple to me. And I might expound on it. I don't know. I'm not a scholar. I don't know, but I'm a simple man. But to me, evil comes down to one word: greed.
Yeah. As you say, that releases the false burden of understanding why, I think, for many, because many feel stuck trying to explain it. And putting it in one word like that.
All my life, even when I was in school, I was that guy. My teacher in about the 7th grade, he pulled me out of the class in front of everybody and said, "You're that guy that does not beat around the bush. You say it very simply. You can put most of your emotions and feelings into one word."
Yeah.
And I think evil is greed.
Yeah.
Wanting what other people have, wanting something that doesn't belong to you, and that's just the best way I can put it. It's just greed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the governing body is greedy.
Yeah.
And you know what the Bible says about, according to the Bible that we were taught, greedy people will not what? Inherit the kingdom.
Yeah.
If I have a plate of food, here's who I am. If I have a plate of food and a stranger walks up and they're hungry, they can have half of my food. I don't care. I know I'm not going to starve to death. Usually there's more food than we have necessary for us. And this beautiful woman that I'm married to, she is a great cook and all that. And when I have visitors up here at my place, and I have a lot of them, she will walk down here to my shop, and I stay in my shop most of the time because that's where I work and that's where my peaceful place is. And if there's any, she will come down and say, "I've got this cooked and this cooked and that cooked." And she will ask every one of them, "Do you want me to bring you a plate?" Or the guys that work for me, "Do you want me to bring you a plate?"
Yeah.
I like her. I like her.
She is a sweet. Her name is Sweet Melissa.
Oh, okay. I won't forget that. Sweet Melissa.
Sweet Melissa.
Yeah, but she is fully in, and she argues with me when I bring the religion up. She argues with me, and I just look at her and laugh. "Baby, you just don't. You're arguing. You're just beating a dead horse. You just don't know what I know." But she is so brainwashed. But she is an angel, and I just choose not to fight over it. Why fight with somebody when they don't understand?
That makes sense. Yeah. Did you ever have maybe the elders kind of talk about ever approaching her to leave you because you might have been considered a spiritual endangerment? Did that ever come up?
Linda, that is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I am a very strong-willed man, but I'm very slow to anger. I try to be as compassionate as I can be, but I cut that off before it ever became a problem. I called the elders up and I said, I'm not coming back to the Kingdom Hall, and I'm still the family spiritual head, and you have no right nor my permission to talk to my wife unless I am present, because I'm still the family head. And if I ever hear my name announced at the Kingdom Hall, or if I find out that you are talking to my wife behind my back, I am coming for you.
Oh,
And I'm
hell
going to
yeah.
sue. I'm going to sue you, and you better pick out your bridge, because you are going to be homeless.
Oh yeah. Thank
And
you.
I don't take no shit off of them.
You know what? You did get ahead of it. You really did.
Yep.
You know, you really did. Yeah, because otherwise, and they might have still tried to talk. They talk about children if
But
the father is not
yeah.
a witness as fatherless children,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
sounds like you nipped that in the butt right away.
Well,
And I'm
our
impressed,
son is
actually.
grown. Our son is grown. He's my stepson, but he's still my son, and he's been disfellowshipped about 14 times. Not really. That's an exaggeration. He's been disfellowshipped 2 times and disassociated. And but during the last 20 years, she and I have been married 32 years,
That's
and
beautiful.
that girl loves me. She's 5 years older than me, but she loves me and worships me, and I absolutely love her and take care of her. But during the process of our son being disfellowshipped multiple times and then disassociating, she never shunned him.
I'm so glad
Never,
to hear that.
never shunned him.
Good for
Even
her.
when I was a full believer and I wanted to shun him, and I did, and I regret it. And but it's not a perfect situation, but he loves me more than he loves his own biological dad.
Sure.
He calls his biological dad a sperm donor, and he calls me dad.
I understand.
Linda James, we've got a comment to Sparky, if I can read it.
Sure.
It's from RKDWLR. It says, Sparky, I want to tell you how amazed I am that you can maintain a good marriage despite your differences. Awesome. And then it goes on to say, empathy and compassion no longer exist in that organization. But I thought that was
No.
a great comment.
Yeah. It does not exist in that organization, but I choose to have empathy and compassion as my way of life. I cannot imagine living in a world without tender compassion and empathy for the people around you. Now, I might disagree with you and I might get mad at you, but once I get mad at you, it's done and over.
Wow.
And I deal with this every day on a business level. And I'm like I said, I'm very dominant, and but I know to draw the line, and I've told some people off on a job a time or two, and at the end of the day, I look at them and laugh, and I say, you know what? Let me tell you a story. I said, my wife and I might get mad at each other, and we may say some things that we shouldn't say, but at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be sleeping with my wife, and I'm going to cuddle up to her and snuggle up to her, and it's done and over. There is no more argument. It's over. It's done. And I said, if I can do that with my wife, why can't I do that with the people I work with? Not sleep with them or cuddle them, but But that's a joke, Linda James.
Making up is hard to do.
Yeah,
Thinking of that Neil Sedaka song. Everything's a song for me.
Yeah, but no. If the closest people you are with is your family, but how many hours a day do we spend with our family? Very few. We spend more hours with our workmates.
Yes.
But just because we disagree and have a blow up, you know what? It's not the end of the world. Let it go. We may disagree. Okay, who cares? Let it go. We can still be friends and still look out for each other and keep each other safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that is true Christianity.
Yeah, you got it. Linda James, Sheila says something here. Can I read that out too?
Sure.
She says, transparency, accountability, and honesty is so important. Thinkers hone into that and lose trust. Those who lie are trying to cover up what they are doing.
You know what? I totally agree with that. And as you're reading this, I'm thinking to myself, I actually could not be honest as I was growing up within this organization. I couldn't be authentic and tell my parents my viewpoint. I would get in trouble. I would get very negative consequences. So I learned how, for survival, I learned how to lie with ease. But I do believe in the transparency, and honesty is the best policy. But within this culture of the Jehovah's Witness organization, you being your authentic self is called a double life. And you have to be someone else. You have to put on the new personality and have the pseudo identity, like a fake identity, to be accepted and to be considered as behaving appropriately. And so my memories just went back to that. That's pretty amazing. Thank you,
Linda James. I'm always amazed at your clarity, because when Sparky was talking about his love connection with his wife and how his love with her covers over a very painful and mature dilemma that people face after making a decision. I'm not going to be part of this abuse anymore. I'm not going to allow a high control religion to continue abusing, or for me to facilitate that. How do you stay a loving person without losing yourself? And how do you take back power without turning that power into a weapon? I mean, that's not an easy answer, right?
Yeah.
But there's a wise stance, and I hear it in Sparky.
Well, there is nothing I would ever want to do in this whole wide world to ever hurt my wife, because she in let me say this. When I work in a male dominated field and they talk about the dirty jokes and all that stuff in the strip clubs, and I've never been to one, never want to go to one. That's not me. That's not who I am. I never will set foot in one. But when I hear about these men degrading women, the first thing that goes in my mind is, what if that was your daughter?
Sure.
And you're talking about doing all these things with these women. That is somebody's daughter. Their little girl, their little baby that they raised in diapers and coddled and nourished. How can you do that? And that is why I am so passionate about the pedophile situation in the organization. Every little child is somebody's little baby girl or little son, and they deserve better. And as my wife, she's 60 years old now, and I'm 55. And we have our moments when she gets on my nerves and I get on her nerves. And I look at her and I think, yep, you're your daddy's daughter. And your daddy would not be very happy with me if I did not love you the way you should be.
Yep, you're your daddy's daughter.
Yep.
I love that. It's like
Linda Jack.
this is how you're talking yourself through this time of her irritating you to no end. Yes, Matthew?
Yep.
What were you going to say?
No, you said it. You got it.
I do.
You know-
I do not like the sexualization of women.
Yeah.
That it just turns my stomach, makes me sick. The women are their own creatures, just as we are, but they deserve respect. And the sad thing is, the media and the fashion industry and all that has made them into just objects.
Yeah.
But they're people, they're humans, they have feelings and emotions, and they have life experiences. And every one of us on this planet deserves to be loved and respected.
Yeah. Linda James, you've got a lot of experience on why fighting just often doesn't help, because a situation like Sparky's described, when somebody's still dissonant, you've got that love that's very definitely evident, but the dissonance inside a belief system where they can't see the abuse, or they can't see what Sparky's describing here very, very clearly, that we've all seen and identified.
Yes.
It's the understanding isn't missing, it's guarded. And so, an argument feels like a threat. It doesn't feel like dialogue. So, the fighting thing, like Sparky avoids or is highlighting here, if you get into that, it just strengthens their defenses. It increases fear and loyalty to the system, and it erodes the bond that you actually want to protect. So it doesn't mean you're weak for not fighting. It means that you're reading the situation correctly and accurately. And so the loving doesn't necessarily mean you're agreeing, and it certainly doesn't mean that you're enabling. And that's the distinction that matters very, very deeply, because you can love somebody without sharing their worldview.
Yes.
It's like Sparky said, and we started laughing, sure. But, you can be kind without surrendering your truth. And I got that immediately in just the first minute with you, Sparky, because you can disengage without abandoning the person that you love, that family. And compassion is not compliant.
2 different things.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when a mate is loving but dissonant, it's hard, because the person is real and good, but the framework that they're inside is the distortion. And so I feel that, as you're talking there, the grounding is, okay, I'm relating to you, not to the system that's speaking through you, my love.
Yes.
And
That's right.
I hear that's how you're taking your power back quietly.
Yeah.
You can tell me better, because power doesn't always look like confrontation. It often looks like choosing when to explain yourself, or setting the inner boundaries, even when your outer peace is kept. And no longer needing validation for what you already know. I don't need that. Do you? No, don't need it. And I don't need to, or for others to necessarily see this. I don't need somebody that I deeply love to necessarily see this, to be real. And a lot of the time, just that thought alone stops many arguments before they start. I don't know your experience there, Sparky.
And another thing I think about all the time is most of the arguments and the fights, even in the news, different news channels and what's going on in the world, I always think back 100 years from now, what in the hell is it even going to matter?
It's a good question. I do think we're going through some historical times, but
We
yeah, you're
are,
right.
but
You're right. What is it going
arguing
to
over
matter?
he said, she said, and all this stuff. 100 years from now, we
Hmm.
go back in time. You can't tell me what happened 100 years ago, and I can't tell you what happened 100 years ago. People are just living their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing, Matthew, you asked me a question a while ago, and I forgot the question, and my answer was greed.
Yes.
And I had a thought. What was your question?
Well, you know what? That's my cognitive load also moves on, eh? You know, to try
Yeah,
and
mine too.
go.
Mine too. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but I had a thought that came through just a few seconds ago, and I did my best to hold on to it, and thankfully I did.
Mm,
The scripture that says when a man is reaching out for the office of overseer
yeah.
in today's world, he's reaching out for a position.
Yeah.
What comes with that? Authority and power over other people. What comes with that? In my opinion, is greed. I want power. I want to have power over other people. I want to have a position in life. Jesus didn't teach that. He taught humility and kindness and compassion.
We lived in a bubble, Sparky, because I've mentioned this to Linda James and the audience here as well, because where we were in Zimbabwe, it was Rhodesia, so it was under sanctions, so it wasn't necessarily connected to the main organization for a long time. So it kind of had a chance to develop in its own way, almost like what happened in Russia. And so we had a community, but my own brothers came back to me and said, Matt, you know, we were living in a bubble. This wasn't the proper thing. It's a very different thing. And when now Zimbabwe opened up, then they sent in their agents to replace coordinators, and they got their own people in and missionaries in, and there was a big change going on. But I'm grateful that I was taught by those kind of sincere people that didn't look at leadership the way you were describing. They were looking at that as service, and they were looking at it as genuine healing.
I was going to say they had a genuine way of looking at serving. They weren't worried about power and authority. But over here in the States, it's all about power and authority.
Yeah.
Right, Linda?
And we
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah.
We saw it happen. We
And
watched it.
I think what both of you are talking about is an abuse of power and authority. You know,
Yeah.
as a parent, I had power and authority over my children as they were, you know, before they were able to move out and move away. And I was to serve them. When I had a servant frame of mind, I did much better as being a mother. About every 9 months to a year, I would flip out and they'd have to hear me. But when I had this mindset of, you know, I feel like I'm just doing everything wrong and I get so stressed out, I finally just told myself, you know what? At the end of the day, if my kids know that I love them and that I care about them and that I am for them, it's okay if they might have missed their bath and things aren't picked up after dinner. As long as they know that, that's what's going to stay with them as they move on. And now they're living their own lives, very unique individual lives. And fortunately, I didn't raise them within the organization, but a lot of things that I was taught was like residuals that were still with me as I was
Are-
growing. And I've done some apologizing, you know.
Are they still in? Are they still in the organization, Linda?
They never were in the organization. I did
Okay.
not raise them. Yeah. So
Okay.
fortunately,
I didn't
but
hear
still,
that.
my mindset was still kind of in the org, even though I had left.
Oh, you had to apologize because of the
Stuff I still carried that I still
Oh,
hadn't
I got
had
it. I
shed.
got it. I got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
So
it.
as I was shedding some of the ways that I was taught as being, this is a good mother, you know,
It's
this
so
is what,
hard to get rid of it, isn't it?
yes. Yes. So, you know, I have affected my kids negatively in a few areas, but more so than not, I've affected them pretty positively, and it's a beautiful thing. But you know, what I really appreciate is the way you talked about how you decided to get ahead of the situation about with you and your wife when you came to a point of not having remaining a Jehovah's Witness. You made the phone call and you said, this is not going to happen, and if it does, this will be your consequences. You took a hold of the situation, and I want to.
Let me say, you
Mhm.
damn right, Linda James. I damn sure did.
That's right. And you know, you can put out. You can. What is that called? When you make it to where they can't come around for a certain amount of time. What is that called?
Restraining order.
Restraining order.
I don't
People-
need that. I don't need that. In my community, when I say it, it's done. I put
Sure.
Linda James. I'm not this fellowship. I'm faded, but I got a 32-foot flagpole in my front yard, and my wife is still a witness, and she has housekeepers that come up here that are all witnesses,
Yeah.
and the little sisters that come up here and clean for her. When my brother passed away, they made me dinners.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And they
That's
they
so
call they call, and I'm like, can't y'all see that damn flagpole up there? I don't want to be part of y'all no more. But
So I'm taking it you're talking flagpole with an American flag on it.
and a
That's what you're talking-
POW flag under it to honor
Really?
my dad and all the veterans that served. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I made it
I-
myself, and it's flying high and proud. It's the biggest one in the neighborhood.
See, that's being patriotic, and we never learned how to be patriotic.
No.
As during our time in the organization, and being having anything to do with the government, you know, I came to realize that what that does for us is it puts us in a position of being disenfranchised, which means the government doesn't hear from us. It has put a thing of tape over our mouths as far as the government hearing us. So by telling us it's good to be neutral, Jesus was no part of the earth, no part of the world, and all this stuff.
Yeah, you can pay your
it
taxes.
silent.
Oh, you better pay your taxes, but you don't have a voice in this matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, you know, when we check, you know, yeah. So this when we do these different things as we're going along, it can be foreign. But what I wanted to say, and I'm glad you don't need a restraining order, but what I learned, one of my first interviews was with William Bowen, and what he said was, if the elders do get to the wife, or maybe the other one, but more so the wife, and they can talk her into being convinced that he, the husband usually, is a spiritual endangerment, they could be talked into getting a restraining order for the husband who's no longer a believer, and that kicks his ass out of the house for a couple of months. Okay,
It don't
And
kick
then they
me out
have-
of the house.
and then they have more availability to her to encourage her to do these things or these things. So it's
yep.
strategic, and
Yep.
you seem to have
No,
handled
Linda
that
James,
beforehand.
if you get my number, I will tell you the secret to it off air. Okay. But no, my wife has a deep love for me. that we have an
Really?
unconditional love for each other. And but one thing I can say, Matthew and Linda, and anybody listening, I have a secret weapon. My wife is very cold natured, and at night in the summertime, I put the air conditioner on 62 degrees. I don't know what that's Fahrenheit, Matthew. I don't know what you use down there,
Okay, I'll
but
work it out.
it's very, very cold in our house, and we don't use many covers. And so for her to get warm, if we have a fuss, she's got to hug up to my body to get
Ah.
warm.
Okay. Okay. So not
Okay.
cold natured, as in that's her attitude. Physically, she gets cold easily. Okay.
Oh
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm a
Gotcha.
hot blooded.
Mhm.
She says I'm the hottest thing she's ever touched. Not
There we go.
sexually, but just thermally. But so if I can keep it the house ice cold, how long is she gonna argue with me?
Right? Right. I love that kind of
But
manipulation.
no, another thing, Linda and Matthew, there are many men that come through my shop, my neighbors, and all this stuff in my place of business up here, and it's right behind my house.
Well, can you tell me
And
what you do in your shop as far as your business? Are you a mechanic?
Matthew knows. No, Matthew knows. I have a metal fabrication business, and I'm mobile, and I sometimes I work in my shop. 80% of the time I don't, but I travel all over, and I have a welding rig, and
Okay.
I do a lot of pipe fitting and mechanical work out on the road with the high-rise apartments and condominiums and office buildings in the southeast over here.
Okay.
But yeah, and it's a good business, and I'm connected with the right people through the grace of whoever. But
Mhm.
it just fell into place at the right time.
That's beautiful.
But my wife is surrounded with all of my acquaintances, and they flirt with her because she's an attractive woman.
Oh yeah.
And I don't say a word. I never, when they flirt with her, I never stand up. Don't touch my wife. Don't talk to her. No, I don't do that, because I have figured out a long time ago that if somebody flirts with her and I stand up and set them straight, that's nothing to them. That's another chance that, like, who are you? That's just a challenge to them.
Right.
But when my wife sets them, like, I'm married to him and you don't talk to me that way, and she scorns them into the back corner and scolds them, like, you don't talk to me. And it's more, I get more humor and more
Oh my
satisfaction out of watching her just back them into a corner. And when she leaves, I just tell them, I said, I told you not to mess with her. You done mess with the wrong woman, and you'll never be me.
That is so cool.
Linda James, we're getting some very genuine comments here. There's no ulterior
share
motive. There's just
I'm
some
not reading
genuine-
them. I can't see them. I can't read them.
Well, or can I read them out, Linda James? I normally just
yeah,
ask you
please.
if I can do that.
Yes, please.
So Sheila's okay. So the love that you're talking about here, okay? This is just a genuine comment. That's all it is. Sheila says, "What a lovely man you are, Sparky. Honestly, and love oozes from your inner self." That's
That's
just
how I
a
want to
comment.
be remembered.
Yeah.
That is how I want to be remembered.
Now you got the patriotic side. Borna JW says the United States of America did way more good for me than the Borg even tried. Huh.
Very
There we
true.
go.
Yep. And my response to that comment is that I have an 80-year-old man that works for me, and he acts like an 18-year-old man. He gives me a wake-up call every morning to wake me up to go to work,
Okay.
not to go to work. He thinks he's waking me up to get me to go to work. The reason I'm giving him that opportunity to give me a wake up call is to make sure he's still alive.
But I read you. I saw your strategy. I mean, you're the man who's, what's it, 62 degrees Fahrenheit. You're strategic.
Yep, yep, yep,
You know what's it? You know how Argon Arc works.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
No,
And you know what?
and-
You're-
Sorry, Sparky. Go ahead. Sorry.
no. The best thing that ever happened to me, my daddy was very independent. He's a Korean War veteran, and he challenged the elders. He always hated the elders. And we grew up, he raised us in the organization, and we were raised and taught to respect the organization and the elders. But I look back, and my daddy was always fighting with them. And I thought, Daddy, why are you fighting with them? And as I get older, I'm like, hell
seeing
yeah, I
it.
understand. I understand, Daddy. Now I understand.
Yep.
And I have, no, be independent, be a critical thinker, think for yourself. Don't let nobody control you. Never, 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 never.
The organization of JW has got a real problem now. Well, it's got many problems, but one of them is that they've lost their elder community. When I say elder community, I'm talking about
The old school. Yep.
yeah, but I mean, here's the incredible thing, right? With all of the transparency that's going on, I got Linda James knows it. I don't hold back, and can be judged. Matt, we don't trust you on this, or Matt, what are you doing? I'm just being me. But I have persons that correspond with me, and they say, Matt, let me tell you about our congregation. And say, yeah, what do you want to tell me? I said, yeah, I can see where you're heading with this supreme ethic and truth. And yeah, look, we see the same thing. But in our congregation, the folks have died. There are no 50-year-olds. There are no 60-year-olds. There are no 70-year-olds. There's nothing above that. We have elders that are 20 years of age or 30 years of age leading the congregation.
And they have no life experience. No life experience.
The organization. I didn't realize I was interrupting you. Please go on, Matthew.
Linda Jane, I must apologize to you and also Spike. I get caught by the latency, so sorry about that.
I just wanted to say that after so many elders get thrown under the bus for following the directions of their elders' manual, after they've been convinced that this is the way God wants things to go, but when they find themselves in a place where the road hits, the bottom of the tires, they go under the bus. They are the ones blamed during a court session because the leadership will not take responsibility for the directions they've given these elders to do.
That's exactly what I told that elder, and it's a long story behind it. I ain't gonna bore you with it. And Joe and Fran want to interview me on their show one day, and I probably will do it.
Okay.
But I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, I get that way sometimes. Go ahead.
Basically,
it'll come back.
It happens so many times, and it doesn't have to happen to each elder. But once somebody views this happening to another elder, who wants to stay there in a position of eldership or in the elder body if elders are getting wind that they're going to have to take responsibility facing the government for how they handled a certain situation, or when they're following directions from Jehovah's mouthpiece. Okay, so
yep.
I mean, I've watched people in court. I've watched a lawyer say, but this elder had to follow the rules that was in this elder's manual. And I've watched the lawyer for Watchtower say, Actually, he could have used his own conscience.
Yep. That's what I told the elders that were kind of coming after me about 4 or 5 years ago. I said, y'all can pursue me. That's fine. But here's one thing I know. The governing body and the organization is not going to pay your court fees. And you're going to have to pay them out of your own pocket. And do you want to challenge me? And I told him, I said, I had enough money set aside for each and every one of them.
Wow.
I said, do you want to go down that road? I don't think you want to, because the organization's going to turn their back on you.
Yeah.
You know, Sparky, this thing, my side, and I don't, Linda James, I don't mean to trigger anybody, but I'm going to explain a little bit about what happened here, or what is happening.
Sure.
Because this is what our local elders wanted me to do, Sparky. Okay, and if I trigger you, or if it's not my intention, you just tell me.
Hey, Matthew, let me tell you both right now, okay? I don't get triggered.
Okay.
I might have a little response, but I'm tough enough. I don't get triggered. And that trigger word is not anything that's going to affect me. I deal life with my nose to the wind, and I don't worry about getting triggered. I am that tough. So don't worry about triggering me. I'm not that soft.
Oh, well, thanks for that. I also want to respect Linda's community too.
I do. I understand that, but I think that Linda and I, just in our few moments of conversation, we have a mutual respect for each other.
So here it is, Sparky. The local elders here, this is where it started off. For me to have the right attitude, all right, I am not to write to the governing body and ask them why our congregation is instructing the community to beat their children. And when I say beat their children, I'm not talking about a smack. I'm talking about guys who take off their belt at a Kingdom Hall and beat a 2-year-old.
No.
In front of people, because they are saying, I am a loving family head. And I'm going, hang on, where did this come from? And they're going, well, that was what was directed at the meeting. And I'm saying, we need to, number one, just be reminded that is against the law in this country. Number two, it actually goes past what Jeffrey Jackson said under oath at the Australian Royal Commission. And you know what? I have to do to repent? Shut the hell up.
Wow.
And I'm going, but now what kind of, you're talking about an elder that goes after power with greed, correct? Or an elder that leads as a shepherd like Christ, right?
Right.
And I'm going, how do you reconcile this? So if I shut up, no good. So you know what happened? I didn't have elders that supported me. I said, you know that Jeffrey Jackson said, yeah, no, but even if, and I've got them on record, even if we're wrong, you have to support it. And I went, wow. Do you know, I've got videos of guys who are losing it in the high density area with kids. They're creating this damage. I've witnessed it. I can't unsee what I'm seeing that's going on here. This was the start, Sparky, 3 years ago. This was the start of the problem. And I'm going, I can't reconcile this. How do you now? I can't be in this environment. I can't be in this environment.
And you're expected to promote it, not only shut up, but promote this behavior in your position.
So you know what happens next, Sparky? You know what happens next? Because I phone up my pals that I've trained in the branch, and I said, "Tell me, are you standing with a governing body member right now?" "Yes, Matt." So I said, "Can you raise it?" "No, Matt, can't do it." "Go, why?" "Because it's security, can't penetrate. they're just going to shove this onto service desk. But you know what happened? It went to service desk and we got the receipt. So they know that this happened. So something that should have been sorted out on a local level went all the way to the governing body level. They know. They've known about this thing for years. So you know what I have to do next? Because I don't have the support of the elders. I say, right, you want to apply Matthew 18? Now I'm the guy that's in trouble for trying to protect the vulnerable. So you know what? You know who my witnesses are because you don't listen. You're going to explain this to the police.
Yeah. What you have to do is live by your conscience.
I think that's one of the most admirable things that I have come to find about you, Matthew, is that you are living by your conscience above what
And you may
is being taught in this organization.
and you may it's going in living by your conscience, standing up for what is right, it will take a toll on you and there's a price to pay. But you look back, if you walked away from this situation like I don't care, I'm not getting involved, your conscience would torment you.
Yeah. You know what? I don't have a regret for that. But you know, I'm public enemy now.
Of course
for
you're
that
Not
action.
my not my enemy.
That's right. Not mine either.
Yep.
Not mine
You know
either.
what you were saying, you know, I lost my oldest brother, and he was a victim to the organization and a victim to my Korean War veteran dad. His first beating that he got, his first spanking that he got from my dad, and they're both dead now, so it don't matter, was when he was 6 months old. He had colic. His stomach was tore up, and he wouldn't quit crying. And my dad whipped him and spanked him. And he grew up and died. His whole life, he was a broken man. And I had the spirit that was stronger than his. And of course, by the time I came along, I was the fourth out of 5 children.
Okay.
And so my dad had mellowed out a little bit and got a little wiser. And the abuse that my oldest brother went through, I didn't have to suffer. And before it was over, I was a caregiver for my dad and my oldest brother. And I just wish that both of them would have had the life that I had, because my dad had it rough, very badly rough. And but I didn't have that life, because by the time I came along, my dad had wised up, and I had a really great life. Not so great that it was great, but
I hear you.
half the people in this world today, if they lived my life, they would have been in a column. But anyway, it's just how time goes by and life unfolds, and the different experiences that people happen upon or experience in their life. My brother was a victim. My dad was a victim. My mother was a victim. But somehow along the way, things fell in the right places for me. And I don't look back at the things that I went through. When I was 11 years old, I drove my dad home 80 miles because he was so drunk he couldn't drive. I was 11 years old.
I was 11 years old in 1975.
You're an
Wow.
old lady, Linda James.
Yes, I am.
But no, the point being, I became my dad's caregiver
I
and
hear
his
you.
protector, his
Yeah.
protector. And there's so many things I could say right now. I just don't want to say, but anyway, life is what it is, and it unfolds in different ways for different people.
Yes.
And either you cry over it or you suck it up and go on. And I understand that some people have a hard time with it, and there's different scenarios for different people.
Hmm.
But at some point, you got to stop crying. You got to pick up the pieces, put it together, and move on.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. That is very difficult to do.
What I like about what you just said was nothing you just said implies that you don't get to cry. What you just said was, you know, after you're done crying, you pick up your stuff and move on, you know? So
Yep. You
that's
can
what
you
I
can find your
picked up on
quiet
that.
place. You can
Mhm.
find your quiet place and shed a tear.
Yeah,
But tomorrow is another day,
that's
and
right.
crying right now does not do anything for our survival tomorrow. And you have to grow some calluses in life.
You know what? I've come to find that well, maybe it has. You know how you have to get thicker skin and stuff?
Calluses,
Yeah,
calluses.
I haven't grown much in the callus area, but maybe I have. So I think
But that doesn't mean that you can't. When somebody else is going through a hard time, you don't have to be cold hearted. Like, I'll just suck it up and go on. No,
right,
you
right.
take time and you weep with those who weep, and then you
Yes,
give them like, okay, now this is what you're going through, but here's what's going to happen down the road in the future, and
yeah,
you gotta get tough and you gotta figure it out because life will continue,
that's true.
and you can't sit here and cry over spilt milk. You got to keep going.
Yeah, we just can't stay down.
No, you
We
got to
can't
get
stay
tough.
down. Yeah,
No, you got to have enough strength to fight the elders.
Yeah. You know, Linda James, what I hear, and I hear it from both of you. I hear it from Sparky. I hear it from you. It's touching on a hard-earned survival truth, and it
yes,
just needs to be expressed in a way that doesn't shame, grief, or glorify numbness. You know,
yeah,
you're not saying don't cry. You're saying don't live there forever. That's what I hear from Sparky.
exactly,
You know,
exactly.
and that's how to hold the balance. Strength with a heart. You know, it's not the automaton.
Yes,
What's it? Borg meant. I see Borg written in the comments here, and when I think
yeah,
Borg, I think of the Star Trek robot. You know,
hmm,
collective. And so
yeah,
it's reframing the idea without dismissing the emotion. You might say, oh, look, crying is human. Sparky's not saying, well, subtract crying. I'm not going to cry. But no, there is a place for it. It tells the truth about what mattered. But at the same point, we gather ourselves, we pick up what's left, and we keep going because the pain, it's not because the pain didn't matter. It's because we still do. We honor grief. We honor agency. So thick skin doesn't mean a dead heart. And that's the distinction
right.
that's crucial. We develop over time. It's not coldness, it's resilience. And callous, what did you say? Callous, talking about calluses, eh? Calluses form so that we can keep working. You're in the metal trade, Sparky. You know about this. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Matthew, my hands. I'm gonna give a confession to you. I have the hands of an office worker.
Okay.
I do not have any calluses on my hands.
All right.
None whatsoever. You know why?
Tell me why.
I spend money on good gloves.
All right.
I will not pick up a piece of metal without putting on my gloves. And a pair of gloves last me about a week.
Okay.
And they last my helpers. Their gloves last. I get them two. They can get all the gloves they want. I don't care. But
All right.
they don't have to do what I do. But their gloves last them 6 months. Mine last me a week. But I will not pick up anything without gloves on.
Okay. I'm going to take your advice.
My hands. Yep.
I'm going to take your survival language, because now you're saying work smart, right? So instead of crying does nothing. Let's try this. Crying alone doesn't rebuild a life. The right kind of action does. I'm going to wear gloves now. And action becomes possible when we decide that tomorrow still belongs to us, and that keeps the dignity intact. It's strong, it's grounded, and we're allowed to grieve. Oh yeah, we can do that. We're allowed to move forward without apology. Healing isn't forgetting; it's choosing life again, and that's addressing the fear of becoming hardened. Because many listeners, they worry about this. They say, "Oh well, strength doesn't require becoming bitter. You can become firm." Is it boundaried and still kind? Because in fact, kindness with boundaries is the real strength, and that reassures people who feel torn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So we didn't survive to become smaller or colder. Although you've turned down the temperature gauge as again another smart action to say, yes, I want my wife to snuggle up. Here we go. No,
I didn't do that for that purpose. I'm just so hot that I finally figured out. I'm a little bit of a slow learner, but I come in and I'm so hot.
Okay.
Everybody around here has their house set on 70 degrees. I have mine set on 62 because I can't sleep unless it's cold.
Right.
But I finally figured out that, okay, my wife is snuggling me because she's cold. And I thought, well, that put out the argument. We're good. I didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident.
So it was a side effect, a lovely side effect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I didn't scheme this. I didn't think about it. It just happened. And I'm like, after about 6 months, I'm thought, Tip, Sparky Slag, you dumbass, the answer was here the whole time, but it was funny. It was funny.
Let me make the correction, hey, because now you've clarified. I got a better picture there, and it's a grounded thing.
No, I'm not devious. Okay, I didn't set out to do it. It was an accident. I was just hot.
Well, then let's take it as a gift of nature, because the closing note that I hope integrates it all, Linda James and Sparky, if I may. We didn't survive to become smaller or colder. How about that? We survived to live with clearer eyes, steadier footing, and hearts that still know how to care. And so if there's one gentle caution that's worth saying, we're speaking live here. So everyone moves at their own pace, and that protects those who are still raw. We've got raw people here. I see it in the comments. I'm raw. I started off saying, hey, I had a meltdown this weekend. Good grief, not good, but it was CPTSD classic. I had a loud noise triggered the whole thing, and it was just
hypervigilant. Okay.
I can't see the comments, but I wish I could.
Well, the comments are great because there's a lot of support towards me. By the way, I see that. Thank you very, very much. But Sparky, I see that from persons like Happy Thoughts again. She's saying eventually for one's own sanity, one has to walk away before the fight engulfs you and drown you in the filthy mire. Not an easy task. Purple had to bail. Purple was just getting tired, but that's all right. But
how many is watching right now?
How many is watching?
Yeah.
On my side, which is the apostle babe, Linda James, it says 15 are watching, but that excludes the other stream.
Well, we're giving some entertainment to somebody tonight, right?
You know what happens? Sparky persons come back, eh? They come back and they watch these things, and I think
I know the reruns. Yep.
Yeah, it's surprising. I think you, Linda James, or somebody was saying, "Oh, did I get any feedback from this or from that?" Yes, I did. I don't necessarily talk about it because I try and keep it private. So some of it's private. But yeah, we've had some phenomenal responses, positive.
Well, I'm not doing it for the responses. I was just having a conversation with you, Matthew and Linda, and anybody that wants to listen or watch later, I will not look back with regret. I am who I am, and I'm so happy just to have this conversation between the three of us.
Well, that's cool because you know that's following the highest joy, isn't it? So look, everyone moves at their own pace, and that again protects people who are still raw. So what's being articulated here is something deeply true. You know, grief is part of the journey. You know, you can actually get an enjoyment from that. What's the irony there? Is that possible?
You know, when you cry, it really releases hormones. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but
it's an emotional release.
Cry, you actually have this sense of calmness. So your body releases certain hormones for you to have this sense of just kind of calmness. So it can be helpful, and I like to call it watering your roots. You know, that sometimes that's just the way releasing is healthy. You can't release and you keep it all stuffed down, and you don't allow emotions to come out. And we would burst. Yeah. And it usually shows up later.
Suppressed emotions will show up with disease.
Mental illness, yes.
Not disease, but dis-ease.
Very well put, yes. Yeah. Very well put. And complex, Matthew was talking about complex PTSD. That's something that hasn't been put in the book of psychiatry yet as a word, but it will be in the future. And PTSD is something that is usually related to those that have gone to war, such as, you know, Sparky's father, a war veteran from the Korean War. I got that right?
That's right.
Okay, so I consider ourselves, and I know I've said it before, but I consider ourselves as being prisoners of war because the things that we went through, the traumas that we had, okay? There's been people that have done studies on these techniques and tactics that cults use, and they are the techniques and tactics that the people used on these prisoners of war. So there would be psychiatrists that interviewed these prisoners of war to find out how they were treated. They're the same tactics that are used on those of us that find ourselves in high controlled, high demand cults. Yeah, so when we get together, it's very similar to when prisoners of war get together. You know, there's a
I know. Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
complex PTSDs, where I was going to go with this is something. It's like the trauma happens over and over and over and over and continuously goes over and over again. And, you know, within the organization, with each literature that we see, we get to be traumatized again. When we listen to a talk from the pulpit, we get to be traumatized again.
No, I refuse to listen to it.
When we hear of a child who's being taken to the bathroom for a spanking and they scream, "Oh, Jehovah!" You know, Help me, Jehovah, as they're on their way to the bathroom, as their parents getting ready to spank them.
Well,
And you hear that this is a traumatic experience for us. Today, those of us who have witnessed ICE do what ICE does. These are traumatic things for us to watch. So it's over and over again. That's what complex PTSD is, when it happens over and over and over again.
yeah. My theory on that is the only people in this world without PTSD is a newborn child.
Yeah.
If you live long enough, life will have its own traumas.
And yet the interesting thing is the newborn comes out of the womb crying.
They better, because they won't be
And
breathing.
that's the first act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doctor's going to spank that little ass.
So
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but they got to get their lungs working. But anyway, the PTSD is, I think, in many cases, I know life ain't perfect, but
Yeah.
and there's a lot of trauma stories out there. But at the end of the day, what are you gonna do about it? You gonna sit there and cry about it or move on? If your house is on fire, are you gonna cry about it or go get the garden hose or call the fire department and try to put it out? You gonna go into action?
Yeah,
and
that's
go in survival mode, or what are you gonna do? You gonna sit there and cry about it? No, I ain't gonna cry about it. I'm going to go into action.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I think the world we live in has taught us to be weak, and I choose not to be weak.
I get that about you. I do. And
It's not that I don't have compassion. I do.
no, I
I
do see
do.
that.
So
I do have
you going
compassion.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Sit there and cry about it, or are you gonna do something about it?
And what I'm hearing you say is, are you going to do any? So you've chosen inaction, or are you going to get into action, into solution? That's what I'm really hearing you say, right?
Whatever it takes, whatever the situation, like a first responder.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be dependent on 911, or are you going to solve your problems yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that there's room for both. What you're talking about, I think it's
Sometimes,
good to notice the emotion, have your moments. You can't do it when you, there's certain times if you can take time aside privately to have a good cry or whatever, but then
Right.
you get up and go again. You get up and go again.
Well,
You know,
what
that
well,
support.
Linda, when the crap's hitting the fan, you don't have time to cry.
Very true.
You
Very
go into action, and when the dust settles, that's when you go find your quiet place or call your buddies or whatever, your friends.
Yep.
Have your moment, and then you deal with it emotionally.
Yes.
But
I agree with you 100%. Yes.
the world has gotten soft. It's gotten so soft.
So what do you mean by that? How is that showing up that is telling you?
The world's
Can
gotten
you give me
soft.
an example?
The colleges that have their quiet space for these 21-year-old college students to have their little quiet place to go and cry and all that. In my opinion, that's bullshit. They need to get toughened up.
There's places
They
on college
they
campuses
haven't they
do that.
yeah, they do. Yep, they do.
Yeah.
They got their little quiet places where they can go, and I don't know, but anyway, what does that solve? If you have a problem, fix your problem, resolve your problem. And then when it's over, if it's a major trauma, go settle your problem. And when it's over, then resolve it
Yeah.
by yourself.
I'm sorry. It sounded like I'm sorry. It felt like for a minute I stepped over what you were trying to say. Sorry about that. But
So you're fine.
Yeah.
No.
I think we're saying a lot of the same thing, but
Yeah.
in different ways. Yeah. Go ahead, Matthew.
Sorry, Linda James. I always get caught out and I get embarrassed, but I make a genuine apology because I know I'm talking over you, and then I hear that it's caught up, and I'm sorry about that.
But see, that's what happens. We have something in our minds. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
we just want to share it. So,
So
go ahead, Matt.
Linda James, do you want to go ahead? Sorry.
It's your turn.
Oh, well, thank you for that. You know,
Yeah,
the
Matthew,
sentiment-
it's your turn. It's your turn, Matthew. The pressure is all on you, Matthew.
I think we have the after five sillies now.
After 5, hey, let me tell you, it's 1:30 over here in Georgia right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay,
Oh.
right. Sobering up or trying. Because, I still got this pain here. I can't get rid of it. But
Aw.
the sentiment comes up a lot in grief-heavy spaces, right? Because it usually comes from pain, but it's not cruelty. This is you saying the world's gone soft. Yeah, I hear you. It helps to acknowledge it without letting it silence grief, because you can gently reframe it something like this. How do you respond when, people say that the world's gone soft? Toughen up. But it's very specific because we're acknowledging the value that's being pointed to. There's something grounding about building, fixing, growing. I'm going to go and plant a tree in my backyard. I'm going to dig a hole, put a tree, and it's a fruit-bearing tree, right? Okay? Because I want to eat something from that tree 7 years from now. I've planted some date palms in the garden, right? So there's something grounding about doing those things, taking responsibility for your life again, and being problem solving, right? Because that honors the instinct towards agency and self-respect, and that's what I hear. And by the way, I'm looking at the comments, Sparky, and I know you're saying I'm here to have a conversation with Linda James or with Matt here. But others are benefiting, and I do tune into that because I think the community is.
Thank you, Matthew. But on the tree perspective, let me interrupt you for 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Matthew, do you know when the best time to plant a tree is?
Well, I look at for date palms, it's different to something like a cherry. Oh, okay. Sorry,
I'm setting you up. I'm setting you up, Matthew.
Set me up. I got it.
This ought to
It's
be good. Let's pay attention. Okay.
It's 20 years ago.
Yeah. But then I figured, don't delay, because I'm going to say that 20 years from now.
No, the sad thing is when you're young and you're not established, and then you get a little bit older and you start planting trees and you look back and like, I wish I'd done that 20 years ago. I could have had the fruit from it.
Sparky, I planted when I was young, and you know what? It got taken away.
That's my point. Yep.
I was
That's my point.
Self-sufficient.
Yep. And the other thing about the comment I made about the world being soft,
Mm-hmm.
Linda James, hear me on this perspective, okay?
Okay.
How many people today, this young generation, want to go on a cross-country trip, and they get in their car and go, and they have a flat tire? This generation, they think they have an app on their phone that can change their tire. There is no such app on their phone to change a flat tire.
Wow.
Half of the majority, 99% of the younger generation, if they have a flat tire, they either have to call their mom or their dad or AAA or whoever to change that flat tire. My theory on being tough is, if you're going on a cross-country trip, go down a checklist, make sure your spare is good, your tires are good, and everything's mechanically good in your car. That way, if you do have a flat tire, change it yourself. There
Yeah.
is no app on your phone to change that flat.
So Sparky,
Do you have a spare
sometimes,
tire? Oh, is that what that is? Okay, that's what you're saying.
yeah.
I hear you.
Well, look, there's
Hey,
something
hey,
about.
Linda, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about your waistline or mine either, okay?
No, I don't think so. I was
No,
just thinking about that. Yeah,
no,
about
the
how
spare tire.
they're
Yeah.
not familiar with knowing how to change a tire. Many people are not.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
The younger generation is not prepared, and the first thing they have a mechanical failure or anything, they have a meltdown. That's where I come
Yeah.
from. Deal with it, get tough, and deal with it.
Hmm.
Well, that's joy in life, is being able to fix things, and it's important to integrate this idea.
Yep.
Planting,
It-
fixing, changing the
Yep.
tire, or creating with your hands. That's part of healing. You can't
Yep.
deny that. There is so much satisfaction in that. That
But
is a
you know-
way that,
You know whose fault that is, Matthew, when these younger generation are not prepared for that?
I don't know what's happened.
It's their
How
parents'
can that-
fault. The parents
Oh.
have made life so cushy and so easy for them.
Africa's different. I mean,
I
I'm
can't
with
speak for you. I can speak for us over here, but we live in a prosperous nation, and the motto of the parents over here is, I want my children to have a better life than I had, and they get them a fine car or whatever, the best they can afford, but they don't train them. They don't train them. When you get out in life, it's not just being on the road with a flat tire, but life lessons. When something goes wrong, how do you deal with it?
Right.
Either you get tough and survive, or you don't.
Yeah. You
You're
see
welcome,
here,
Dallas.
if you don't raise the
Why?
chickens, you don't eat chicken. Hi, Dallas.
Right.
How you?
Well,
Do
Yeah,
you
I-
know how to change a tire, Dallas? I'm curious. Do you know how to change a tire on a car if it?
if you want to
flat
take
tire?
the tire, what you do is you just loosen those lug nuts, and then if you know where the right place to get the jack is, then you raise that, you jack it up, and then you finish removing those lug nuts, and then you yank it off, and then you put your spare tire on and put that on until you get to a service shop. I don't mean take the whole tire and the tube off, but just to put the spare tire on.
You
I think
passed the
we have
test,
somebody-
Dallas.
I was
You
just
have
gonna say.
passed the test, Dallas.
Yes,
And
you
and
have.
I want to tell you, I can replace a car battery
Okay.
and the terminal clamps and the wires. I just need to follow where they go.
I can
I've
make your
done
hair color the same color as Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that's because I'm a hairdresser. I
Hey,
need something
Linda,
to change my tire. Yes.
Linda, let me tell you something, a little story about Dallas, because I make fun of all my friends, and Dallas
know
already
this.
knows this.
You two know each other.
He has called me, and
Okay.
but Dallas, I'm not going to embarrass you tonight, okay, buddy? But
It's okay.
no, buddy, I would not embarrass you. I would not put you through that. But anyway, I will tell a little short glimpse of our conversation, okay? But you know, Dallas has got a unique accent in the way he talks. And when Dallas called me, he got my number through Joe and Fran.
Okay.
And I said, Dallas, I can do a perfect rendition of your voice. And I did it, and he laughed, and Dallas was not offended. He laughed. He said, that's pretty good, Sparky. He said, that's pretty good. And I did not mean that. I did not mean that in a negative way. in any way to hurt his feelings, but anything I say is meant towards humor or love. But anyway, Dallas took it like a sport. He did a good job.
Well, I tried to.
And I love you, Dallas.
Well, thank you. I try to do it the best and be mature as I can. But
Yeah.
I know I ain't gonna be perfect at times,
But
like
hey, Dallas,
anyone else.
I want to do a perfect impersonation of your voice one day, but I just have not got to that point yet.
Oh, cause we're on. I figure you're on Discord. On
No, I'm not on Discord or anything like that. But anyway, I just thought it would be humorous to let Linda and Matthew know that you and I have talked on the phone, and we have a good rapport with each other, and we're all different in our own unique, separate ways. But and you can't take life too seriously. You got to learn to laugh and love each other, right?
Absolutely.
right, that is so true right there.
Yep. All right. Well, listen, it's getting late. It's almost 2:00 in the morning over here.
Goodness. Okay.
I've been through one funeral tonight. Thank you, Linda James. By the way, you did a great job on it,
Oh,
and
that's awesome. Really glad to hear that
Vinny
feedback.
would have been proud. And when I called Vinny probably 2 or 3 over the past couple years, I talked to him 2 or 3 times, and when he was doing good, and I wanted to go down and see him. My wife wanted to go down to the Florida Keys, and we eventually went to the Florida Keys, but I wanted to stop and see. I didn't know where he was, but the situation with my wife's parents, she's their caregiver, and
That took
and
priority.
she just couldn't break away, and this has been going on for 5 years, and it's aging her so fast, and I hate it for her. But anyway, I really wanted to meet up with Vinny, and I told him, I said, when I get to wherever you're at, I don't know where you are, but when I get to where you are, I want to take you out to dinner.
That is so
And
cool.
I never got that chance. But
Oh.
I loved his perspective on everything.
Me too. And Debbie Moore was talking earlier. Tell people you love them, and yeah, because we can lose them tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's don't take nobody for granted.
Absolutely.
Family
Dallas.
or anywhere else.
Yep. Well, anyway, I gotta sign off. And Dallas, good to hear from you. Linda.
You too.
Good night. It was good to have you.
And it was Vinny he'll be remembered. It'll be a rest in peace, Vinny.
Yeah.
He will. And Linda, thank you for the tribute to him.
Thank you. Thank you so much to paying
you.
respect to him for anybody who did.
Yep. All right. And Matthew, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Sparky,
Hopefully,
I really feel you. I feel if I may say, a strong connection and a good friendship. And thank you very much for a great conversation and for uplifting the community. I'm very grateful.
Yep. And Matthew, thank you for the email that you sent to me about a month ago. I gave you my contact info. And anytime you want to talk to me, if I'm not working, I'd be glad to chat with you, okay?
in an ideal world, I'd love for you to visit here, or I could visit you, something like that, you know?
Yep. Well, in my world, we'll talk about it later, but we can make that happen.
Go well, Sparky, and get a good rest in. And thank
You
you
too.
again.
Thanks for
love
joining
you.
us.
Love you all. Love you all.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the second show we did tonight. I appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think this
Yes,
was the
ma'am.
first time I got to meet you, and it has just been a real pleasure.
Hey, by the way, Linda James,
Yes.
Hey, Dallas, be quiet for a second.
Hi.
I'm talking to Linda James now. I want you to be quiet. Linda James, I have
Yeah.
never shown my face this long on any channel. So
Wow.
I'm debuting on you, okay?
I'm honored. You're quite handsome too, so I'm glad you did. I'll be real honest with you. When you first showed up on the,
I'm just an old chunk of coal. I might be a diamond someday.
I'll be
Okay.
sure to
When you
contact
first-
your wife, Sparky. Just say what a loving man she has.
Hey,
Okay, there you go.
Matthew, I will give you her number if you want it. I don't care.
And I think it'll be pretty safe because if you say anything off color, you will be reprimanded. Yes, you will.
No, I don't care. You don't know what I say off color to her.
That's true love right there. Yeah.
Yeah. No. We are the poster child of a ex-JW and a full JW that truly love each other.
There we go.
Yeah, I see that, and it's really nice to see. It's really, really nice to see. When you first showed up, and what happens is people will show up here, and it's dark. The screen is dark before I can bring them on stage, and before I brought you on stage, you looked like Vinny, and scared the hell out of me. To be honest, I was
Well,
like,
I'm gonna tell you. When I put on my welder's hat, when I put on my welder's cap, I look just like Vinny. I thought about putting it on tonight, and I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't want to
I
freak
think
your
I would have
girlfriend
fell
out.
over. I would have fell over. Like, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you for
Vinny could have been my older brother.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I love Vinny, and it was my loss. It was my total loss for not meeting him. If I'd have met him, it would cost me probably a lot of money because I would have wanted to take care of him and all that. Not that I care about the money, that's not the issue, but if I would have adopted him.
You know, have you heard of Christiane?
No.
She has a channel, Christiane. I keep like, I want to just, will you get your ass down here? Because she's in Northern California and homeless, okay? And I keep telling her, call me. I leave my number for her, and she hasn't. So I have a bit of that going on. Not that I have a whole lot to give her, but now being homeless, is against the effing law, okay? So I keep telling her, come down here. Let's see if we can work something out, because I have that in my heart. So I hear what you're saying. Christiane
You can have it.
has a channel, and she's amazing.
You can have it in your heart, but she's got to reach out halfway.
Precisely. Otherwise, I'm intruding on her and how she's, then that's not. Yeah, you're right.
Well, you can extend a life raft to somebody in the water that's drowning. If they don't reach for it,
Yes.
shame on them. You did your part.
Yeah, we'll see how I'm gonna keep trying, but I hear you.
Well, don't give up.
showing
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Thank you. I won't.
All right. I got to go. Love y'all.
Good night.
You too, Sparky.
Love you too, Sparky.
See. All right.
Look forward to having you back with us again.
Okay. Go back to sleep, Dallas.
I was alert anyways, and I was listening.
Okay, buddy. All right. We'll talk soon. Talk to y'all
All right.
later.
Good
All right.
night.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Go well. Dallas,
Well,
I haven't heard from you what you ate today, and I feel like something's missing. You know?
I've been thinking about Vinny, and we've been grieving over Vinny, so that's what we.
There we go. Okay. Well, that's right.
But at least had my dinner
I think
before
Linda James
that.
left it just to you.
Linda be
Okay.
back.
I'm crunching on chips, and I didn't want y'all to hear it.
Well, I think you're in charge now, Dallas. Oh, Linda's still there. What was that?
I said I'm crunching on
she's
some
ducked out.
chips. I'm crunching on some chips. They're called
Oh, yeah.
the Cheeto Puffs, and I didn't want y'all to hear the crunching, so I put myself on mute.
I thought they would be corn chips.
They're Cheeto Puffs, white cheddar, and when I crunch on them, they're very loud.
Okay.
So that's what I was doing right now.
There we go.
It's like I've been getting hungry, and once you said to him, "I haven't heard what you ate today," I'm like, "Yeah, this is the time I'm going to have a few of these, and then I'll be back." So that's what I'm doing.
Now, Linda James, since you are eating your Cheetos, there's a few comments that we can catch up on. Can I read them to you then, Dallas? Is that all right? We've got Purple.
Absolutely.
Purple's been
Right.
commenting. Oh, well, thank you. Purple has been commenting throughout and been looking up certain things. I think there was a comment about complex post-traumatic stress disorder and how there is some recognition for that. So I can't find the comment, but I saw that, Purple, so thank you very much for that. We've had Borna JW, who's been chirping up. We've had Spring Love, who's been also chirping. Mama Bear has also been in the comments. Jay Mars also talking. So, yeah, we're very grateful for all the various comments that have been coming in. I see Linda James isn't able to read them off, or there has been a little bit of a stall on some of the comments, but very, very grateful for some of the compassion, or all of the compassion that's been coming in, all of the words of empathy, and just the grounding. Oh, I can see the comment from Purple. CPTSD, childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, is a diagnosis in the DSM. Okay, DSM-V. So it is a diagnosis in the DSM-V. And then we've got RKDWLR. Sparky, now I feel sorry for my wife. But yeah, we see your comments there, RKDWLR. Thank you very much for that. And you're right, yeah, we should have changed the subject. We should have done that. So thank you for your comments there. Sheila has been commenting there. Also, Happy Thoughts 77. Every week for the last 5 years, I've been telling StreamYard they need to add a button for people to raise their hand so the moderator knows who is waiting to speak. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Purple. Thank you very, very much. And then Purple also goes on to say, depends what you want me to change the tire into. I think that was when Sparky was talking about being practical. But, Purple says, but it'll probably involve my angle grinder and cut off the wheels. Yeah, well, all of those are skills, eh? So thank you, Purple. You are keeping it jovial and you're keeping it bright. So thank you very much. Dallas, now Vinny was a chef, right?
Well, I ain't sure what he was, but I didn't get to watch him much, but I was over here. But I knew about him and just had to pay my respects to him. But he's been on. I think we've greeted each other.
Mm. Yeah. Well, Dallas, I'm always very, very grateful for your presence wherever I find you, whether it's with Jimmy Bell, or whether it's with Rick, or whether it's with Linda James, or wherever you are, you bring in that special friendliness that we need, and it's very uplifting. It's a real gift. Thank you very much.
Where you been on? You've been on the with Casey and Anthony,
Yeah.
and you've been on Ruby and Jimmy's channel as well.
I have visited, yeah. And I've left you messages sometimes.
And that's we have multiple families. Actually, it's one family in a way.
Yeah, well said. We got Mage Grey Wolf, who's there, our skeptic, and nice to have you with us, Mage Grey Wolf. Jay Mars says Dallas is everywhere. So yeah, but when we say you are everywhere, that's in a very positive frame, I think. Jay Mars says, Matthew, join us on Tuesday on Ruby and Jimmy. Well, thank you very much for that. I'll see what I can do. I'll do my best. I have joined in from time to time. Of course, you are well ahead with the political scene. I feel like I need a class to go to catch up. Linda James, welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to your show.
Right? That's too funny. It's a cyber meetup for us to get together, but yeah, I guess you're right. It is on my channel, so yeah.
New Year's Day, I was watching the parade in Pasadena. That Rose Parade.
I got to go see that live when I was about in my early 20s, and it was really something to see. It was really amazing, actually.
And in your area, it was home from Chicago to LA to Santa Monica Pier. That was at one time the busiest road in the U.S. Route 66.
Right. Yep.
And a Chuck Berry song about Route 6 to get your cakes on Route 66.
Yep.
Which you drove you driven Route 66.
Yep. I have.
Institute for the Very Nervous says, I liked how the video was. Vinny's lady friend went. She's a good lady.
Wasn't? Yeah, I've gotten that impression from her from the first time I met her. Yeah, I'm going to be keeping in touch with her.
Happy Thoughts is saying, these chats are through the night for me because of the time zone, so I miss my beauty sleep. So I think UK time is about 1 or 2 hours different to SAST or South African time. Jay Mars is saying, I'm wondering how the rain in Los Angeles area, it's raining in North California. So there you go.
I looked out earlier before the show started for Vinny, and it was still raining. So we're having rain, and right now it's mostly cloudy here. but the rain has been going on and off all day. This is an unusual amount of rain for California. And since Los Angeles had these fires in January of last year, 2025, we can kind of expect some landslides in some areas, or different things to happen. It all depends. But yeah. So it's just very odd how much rain we're getting here in Southern California.
Linda James is our gracious host. What's our theme again? Are we going to stay on Vinny, or were we going to go into different directions?
Well, today we America did something with Venezuela, and I've gotten wind of it a little bit, but from the holidays and the New Year's and through Vinny's celebration and stuff, I've told myself that I'm not going to talk much politics, and I've been pretty good about it. I think the next show I'll be talking more politics, but I don't really have a theme for tonight, except for I think it would be good for us to get our affairs in order, meaning having a will and having our loved ones know where the will is. The things that I've watched his partner deal with that she doesn't have has made it so hard for her to, be able to bury him, or what to do at the future. There's too many things holding her back. Plus, she is not legally married to him, so there's that too. That's a stall in having things, being able to get things working. So I just think it would be really responsible of us to not only get these things in order, but to tell our loved ones, look, this is where I'm putting the folder or whatever it is. This is my social security number. These are my passwords for this, for this social media here, and this, that, and the other, or anything else you can think of. That it's. I think of that as a labor of love to be able to do that with our family. I've told my kids that at my funeral, they are to play She's a Brick House, and I can only imagine. I can only imagine it's kind of like a praise song, and She's a Brick House is from the Commodores, is one of those songs that's just really fun, just really, really fun. So, and then they can do whatever they want around it. Yes.
May I make you aware of somebody that is in the chat?
Okay.
That somebody is Bluebird.
Oh, is she here? Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Bluebird. Yeah,
Bluebird is chat.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, watching, this event makes me think this is a real wake-up call for us to get our stuff in order, yeah.
There's another comment in the chat from Aborna JW, who is asking this question, and it's very specific. Does anyone have any thoughts on how we can protect, support children who are trapped in the Borg? Bluebird simultaneously is saying, I thank everyone for all the support. So just glad that after some difficulties there at Bluebird's location, yes, it was not easy situation with thin walls and with neighbors that are complaining, of course. But Bluebird, glad that you are able to make it to this show. And no, there's no need for apologies, really. No need to apologize. Just very glad that you are with us and that we can be together like this. This is what it's all about. Hey, Linda James?
I agree. Yeah. In the United States, parents have the right to raise their children in whatever religion that they are in. That's their human right. Um, I so what really bothers me to no end is when Bible studies start with like a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and it's not done in a manner to where they ask the parents permission. And they start a Bible study, meaning Jehovah's Witnesses. But for us, what can we do? Um, I believe it's important in the United States to honor that right. And we are having younger teenagers coming on platforms such as Reddit and things like that, and they're talking about, I can't wait to get out of here, or whatever, whatever. My suggestion is we give them suggestions on what they need to have saved up for when they do come of age or get thrown out of the house, okay? So that they would be more equipped. For instance, getting a copy of their birth certificate, getting a copy of their social security card. You know, if the car is in their parents' name, but it is their car, um, have a plan to get it put into their name. If they're using a phone that's on a family plan, think about getting another phone in your name, even if it's a simple little, throwaway phone. Because when
Yeah.
when you leave, these are important things that you will need to be able to rent a home or get a job. So, to me, helping people know what they need to have when they do leave is what we can, I think, conscientiously we can do. As far as like hearing about the abuse that they're going through and stuff, I don't know. I feel powerless on many occasions. Um, it's unethical
So
to take a child that's being
yeah,
abused out of their family, but there's other avenues that
yeah,
can be called. Okay. And what Matthew has been doing a lot is putting different phone numbers for like suicide prevention, different things, resource numbers that he's been adding on when he's been making his comments. I forget what it's called that you do, Matthew, but it's amazing. Thank you so much. So we can also give them resource numbers. For instance, if we know somebody is being abused, um, let's say somebody tells you they're gay, okay, and they can't tell their parents or whatever. There's things called the Trevor Project, um, Matthew Stewart, something or another. So you can look up these things and give this information to them for them to help them find out how to get out of their situation. If we go and get them, it might seem to be the right thing to do, but I think if we can direct them to get themselves out, okay, I think it's unethical. And I was somebody who grew up in a situation where I was being very abused, and you know, um, I, I I wished I could have been taken out of it, but at the same time, what I've learned since is that I was supposed to get raised under what my parents chose for me. So there's this one thing I got from ICSA, which is International Cultic Studies Association. There's called a like this one thing that it's like a link that you can open up,
yeah,
and it tells you how to do like normal adult stuff that we don't know how to do unless you've been taught how to do these certain things. So it gives you like resources within the United States.
yeah,
And I've dropped that link off in quite a few different places. Um,
yes,
it helps you a lot. So giving them resources, I think, is a great idea. That I think helps them help themselves, and it doesn't have us be the one that's doing something that might end up looking like kidnapping or even
yeah,
trafficking.
yeah,
Okay, it might look like trafficking, even though that's not our intention. It might even qualify for trafficking. Okay, and
yeah.
we're not wanting to be doing that at all. you know. But yeah,
Bluebird says if you can get a few people in each state to get local resources together and keep a list on hand would be great. And 211 in every state, this is applying to the USA. 211 is in every state. It helps with resources. And then Borna JW, who raised the question, and by the way, Linda James, you handled that great, by the way, just launching into that. Borna JW, who raised it, says, I feel the authorities need awareness of the trauma that kids have to bottle up. School counselors could be the link. The whitewashed reputation of Jehovah's Witnesses is ridiculous and enabling. I wonder if I could respond to that.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, so maybe just to give you a little breather there, Linda James, I think these are very important questions, and of course, Borna AJW raised it, and you are correct. It needs to be handled with care because the instinct is not necessarily the wisest course. You need to just pull the brakes a bit and be steady and responsible. And especially on a channel like this, we're gonna promote law. Absolutely, we're gonna say, look, on a public stream. And we're not necessarily going to supply you anything that's above the law off the stream either, you know?
Right.
So you got to respond in a way that's protective, it's lawful, it's compassionate. And anything we discuss here, look, it's we've got Mage Grey Wolf there who uses essential critical thinking, but we put our disclaimer. We use essential critical thinking, have a healthy skepticism. This is thesis with antithesis for synthesis. But look, we want to respond in ways and emphasize that we need to be protective, lawful, compassionate without turning it into a tactics or pressure scenario. So I think the way that we can frame it well is to say, look, let's acknowledge it's one of the harshest realities. I think that's what you were saying there, Linda James. I heard that coming through because children don't necessarily have the freedom that adults do. And the truth is, we can't rescue them directly. You can't do this without risking more harm. I see this in the high density area. I see harm happening. But you know, you witness certain things and police come in and they've got a protocol that they've got to follow. They say, well, who's witnessed this? Who's involved? Who wants to press charges? And there is accountability about these kind of things. And there's certain complications. There's even gangsterism where you've got to keep the status quo and you've got to say, you know what, if I expose this or expose that, and the police are telling me be very, very careful with how we're trying to keep the status quo because there's more elements involved than you're aware of. You've got to be very, very careful where you're trying to apply justice. Look, it's a complex thing, but specifically with children, what we can do is we can reduce isolation. We can increase visibility. We can make sure that there's safe adults and systems around them that's legal, and that sets the realistic expectation. So, yeah, safe and responsible, believe the children, take them seriously. The single most protective factor for a child is at least one adult who listens, believes them, and doesn't minimize their experience. We can take it from there. There's no tactics. There's just validation. And the law is built for this. Police and enforcement agents are built for this. So, yeah, another thing that shouldn't be forgotten, Born, is supporting the adults around the children, especially in a high control situation where there's an adult who's saying, listen, I need to step in here. And then the congregation turns on that individual. This is a disaster. That's a tier 1 disaster, because we need to remember that often the most effective help comes through actually non-JW relatives, teachers, doctors, the so-called world made up of counselors, coaches, people who are legally and ethically bound towards children. Those are the people that are going to help in this situation. That's what's going to keep things lawful and grounded. That's what licenses are all about for, counselors. So yeah, normalizing the outside help that's being demonized is important, because when I say kids, I should say children. Children need to know that asking for help outside the group isn't betrayal. It's actually safety. I don't know, am I heading in the right direction, Linda James? Does this sound powerful
Yes,
enough
yes.
to be instructive? Okay.
I think you went above and beyond what I've asked. What I came up with, and I love what you've come up with. Talk to counselors, school counselors, or there are there's access to that they can have of resources that so that they can the 211 that was recommended here in the United States is something, and also if we can encourage them to make a few friends, a few Jehovah's Witness friends, if they're comfortable doing that, because if they are choosing to leave, or if they do get escorted out, what happens is they have no one else, and the expectation is for them to fall and not succeed, which you will if you are dropped off in the you're put out there at the curb. You have no money, you have no car, you have no phone, you have no experience, and you have no knowledge how to handle things.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is you're going to get scooped up by perpetrators, or maybe somebody that's willing to help you. But for the most part, go ahead.
Cause you ain't been given the tools that you needed. That's why.
Yes, we do lack those tools. We do lack the experience of how things work out here. We lack street smarts.
Yes.
Because we're isolated. Okay. And within the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses, this culture functions very differently than how out in the world functions.
It's a cloistered community is what it is.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
What is that word?
Cloistered.
What does that mean?
Cloistered. Closed off.
Yes, you're right.
Narrow community. Cloistered as in CLOISTER. And then if you don't add the ED to it.
Okay.
Yes.
The organization has been very, very irritated when they're spoken of as a closed community. Like they go to court and make people change the writing. They don't like that at all. They do not like that. The leadership.
So look, I think that was a very important question that Bourne raised there. And I see there's more comments coming in. Jay Mars, Linda James, you spoke about tools just now, right? You spoke about tools?
Yeah, Dallas.
Jay Mars.
I did.
Oh, you did, Dallas. Okay. So between Dallas and Jay Mars, here's the important tool that they're mentioning: critical thinking. And that's what. Did you want to elaborate, Dallas?
Well, it's something that everybody needs. And there's these extremist cults. They don't give you the tools, equip you with any of the tools you need and to get along in the world. Because they don't want you to. They want you to be dependent on them.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I think you've said that well, Dallas. And Linda James, how about this? If I said, keep the door open for the future. So even when we can't change a child's situation immediately, I saw you nodding your head here.
Yeah.
We can leave emotional breadcrumbs. It's genuine. This isn't lies. We're letting them know they're not bad, they're not broken, they're not alone. And often the messages come back, guess what, years later, when they finally have a choice. And let me tell you, That gives hope without false promises. You don't want to give a false hope. You don't want to give a false promise. Do not do that. You stick to the truth. And there's your crucial boundary to state clearly. We need to be careful not to give advice that could put children at risk. If there is abuse of danger or some kind of danger, the right path is always through appropriate safeguarding authorities. It's how society works, folks. And mandating or mandated reporters. School systems have got it, or they should have. So you've got it there. Police station, enforcement agents, and that protects you simultaneously in the stream as well as the children. If you're knocked out, what use are you for a healing community or safeguarding the vulnerable? So look, Bourne says, can we talk about this? Okay, so let's frame it this way. If somebody says, what can we do right now? We say, well, it's not just doom and gloom in these channels. There's a practical thing. A safe answer is we educate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We educate support survivors. That was Dallas just now with critical thinking. We speak responsibly. We don't get into, well, let's eliminate the tower and blow it up with dynamite. Gee, yeah, okay, you're laughing, but you know, it's advocating for transparency. It's speaking responsibly, and because we want to protect the children, and the only way we're going to do it is to say, well, let's uphold the child protection laws. Cultural change is slow. It's painfully slow.
Yes,
but
it is.
silence is what keeps the harm alive, and that's what they kept doing. The closing line here that holds gravity is that children don't need us to be loud heroes. They need us to be steady. They need us to be credible adults who are responsible, who are still there when they finally able to speak.
Yes.
Because that's when change comes. That's when... Linda Jane, I'm trying to do this in a way that it moderates the information that comes through the channel. You say, look, you appreciate the when I put references and things like this. I'm hoping that by framing it this way, it elevates the channel. Borna JW brought in the right kind of question.
Yes. And if they're keeping a correspondence with you, let's say on Reddit or something, or TikTok, and there's private messaging going on, you know, and they're keeping you up to tabs on what they're doing next. And yes, they complain about how tough it is at home. You know, give them the empathy and the sympathy, but also, you know, compliment them and tell them right on about some of the stuff that they are doing well, you know, because we don't want to we don't want to be somebody that's like giving them really illegal things to do. We want to, again, help them equip themselves so that by the time they step out, they have these things with them that helps them function better in life. And I don't know if they have any kind of a positive supporter in their life, so we can actually be that encouraging and supportive voice in their lives, that you notice some of their strengths. Maybe you can tell that they are good at a certain area and bring it up to them, you know, to be this positive influence, but yet you're not taking them out of a situation, because that's kidnapping. That's against the law. And I also want to mention CPS, Child Protective Services here in the United States. It used to be that if they'd get a complaint or whatever, and they looked at the situation, and yes, it got confirmed or whatever, they'd take the kids and try to put them in foster care. And that might be an okay situation, but there's been stories where the matches don't always fit. The way it is today is they try to keep them in the household and yet try to educate the parents on some parenting skills. So what they've learned over time is that time that they took them away from their parents, the damage that it did to the children. So now they're taking this approach of how can we keep them in the family yet make the situation better. So if you're thinking in your head, if I call CPS, that'll get them out of there. It might, but do know that the mindset of today is we're trying to keep them in there. And it's not the first thing that they do is take them away. So that's something that's going on.
It's called counseling is what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
The parents might get some court-ordered counseling to be done with the family, and then they're like, we have to do it, and it might just be like the greatest thing ever, or the parents might look at it and say, we got, the devil's system of things, we don't want to be any part of it, but they go anyways, and then they talk crap about it after. But still,
Yeah.
these are the lanes we have to stick in.
Yeah.
And these are the things we can do while in these lanes, which we can be adjacent to them, but we can't literally physically take them out. As far as I know. There's also something called when somebody gets custody of themselves. I forget what that's called. Dallas probably knows. You get to be a certain age, usually around 15 or 16 or 17. You can not be your parents' children anymore.
Autonomy.
Something very similar to that. Emancipation or something.
I think autonomy is a word, but sometimes it's believed that more so in the past that kids were property, but they're not property, and babies aren't property either.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you're in the right direction there, Dallas. You see, that's legal speak, isn't it? It's legal speak, right?
Yeah.
The best I can tell.
So yeah, sometimes teenagers emancipate themselves, so they become responsible for their own. They're taking care of themselves. So, and it takes away the parents' position of parenting them. If somebody can emancipate themselves, then that's a different story. And you just kind of go from there and follow your intuition and make sure you stay within the lines of the law. Yeah.
Born at JW has come up with another one. It says ex-JWs need an organization with funds and legislative power. That's a very important statement. There's a complexity there, but I'm gonna give you a gut instinct, just my opinion on this. The fracture is so bad and the exposure is so bad on the level of abuse that's happening in not just JW but in many institutions where there's this high control and there's been this hiding behind law, where now the law is invalidating the ethics to such a degree that we're getting to this existential crisis in humanity, almost like the planet getting cut in pieces. Okay, so this is survivability of humanity. What can we do to mitigate? My gut instinct is this: I actually believe the resources and the funds are available, and it's going to get better because there is such fracture. Personally, I'm getting the news on what I see happening in ex-JW community and like a recent letter from the governing body about the future of Bethel, for instance. I'm getting it from the Bethel. I'm not getting it from ex-JW. I'm getting it I'm just cautious about releasing these kind of things because there's such an aggressive policy for leaks and who gave you that, how did that come out, and I'm going to just go, well, guess what? It's your actual leadership. You want to go and start nailing it. You are going to start nailing your own people in your top positions and your top fiduciaries, by the way. And when you start doing it, you're just going to kill the whole thing anyway. And I actually suspect that they know this anyway. I think that it's just such a complex, maniacal machine going on that it's difficult to actually, if we actually said, well, let's dismantle this thing, it's not linear. It's so complicated. I realize that I'm saying it doesn't make sense, but it is that way.
No, I hear you. There's what I'm getting wind of is like JW Analyzer's done a few videos stating how the org is getting information from certain places to get the identification of certain people that have made videos and have presented certain material that the Watchtower puts out. Okay. And they are doing this for copyright law. Historically, when they do this for copyright law, they don't charge the person for copyright, but they got their identity of that person, and then they can make their life a living hell. Okay,
well, they did that to me.
Yes,
they did that to me. Linda James, as I'm holding a 2013 Revised Bible, they're going, well, that's copyright. You're talking from the Bible. And I'm going, no, all you've done is this is harassment. That's what this is. And it's an intimidation tactic.
Yes.
Because this is just ridiculous. You're actually clutching for straws here. And all you're trying to do is you're trying to make me quake in my boots, and I'm past this. It's actually not working. And you know it isn't working, and it's frustrating the hell out of you. And that is coming. I'll tell you where that's coming from. That's coming from the abusers who have got something to hide, or the persons who have created the liability. That's where it's coming from. Right? We can identify it. And that's where the fracture is. Because when that does get to a governing body service desk, they're going, oh, where did this come from? Oh, this was your guy. Literally, they are saying on those meetings, this is your screw up. Actually, it's not even polite like that. It starts getting into foul language, let me tell you. In Bethel.
I've heard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is your screw up, guys. And it's a shouting match going. You can hear it. You can hear it in the chairman's office. And you go, this is Bethel. This is what?
Yep.
You've heard about it, so you can validate what I'm saying.
Undiscreet slave. They're not so discreet when that happens. I've noticed though too that they're also, the org is going to come down on some sites that have access to Watchtower literature from, when the Watchtower started to, they're going to get on their cases and give them trouble. And then I heard earlier today on Six Screens that the organization is going to make the jw.org site. It's like the app to be just showing literature from 1981 forward. So we don't get to see the history. I found it odd, 81, not 1980, but 1981.
Can I tell you why that happened? Would you like to know inside information on why it started from 81?
Well, I'm kind of thinking because it had something to do with Raymond Franz getting all that stuff that went down in 1980. But
that could be possible, but there's another reason.
Sure.
So the 1980 the 1980 Watchtower has an incredibly reasonable Watchtower. So reasonable, so powerful that it turns the authority system, which has been hiding behind abusive practices, on its head. And they had to they can't get rid of the 1980 Watchtower, but what they've done is they removed it off the JW website. It's still on the WOL website, but they removed it off the main website, which is why it starts in 1981, because there's an article that says, do not impute bad motives. And it has in there a procedure when a couple of elders approach you and get it wrong. And the Watchtower tells you you do not have to agree with them. Gives you a procedure. They don't want that. Because that challenges it. Because they try to apply Matthew 18 and they say, oh, if there's two that's coming here, it's established in God's name. And what you can do is you can say, Linda James, Dallas, you come and you're my witnesses, and it cancels that thing out completely. That's why they had to get rid of it, because they're going, oh, crap,
Right.
this thing is in our literature.
And that does not go well with today's. If it doesn't make sense, you're still supposed to obey it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the 1980 Watchtower, do not impute bad motives, has got the procedure on what, and it says you do not have to support a lie. So when there's been a liability, that Watchtower knocks it out. And here's the other thing too. You know, if you are, because it happened to me, I lost my voice, I was losing my eyesight, and they tried to maneuver things, and I'm saying, no, wait a second, you've broken the law here, or you're encouraging the congregation to break the law. Have I been booted off? Dallas, do you still read me? I think Mr. James has been frozen in time and space. Okay. So anyway, so that reference, folks, I'll just carry on until Linda James comes in, because I can see Dallas is still with us, although you having a bit of a nap there, but that's fine. So that Watchtower, for the audience that's still with us, it is the 1980 Watchtower, and I'm going to look it up for you. So just bear with me. Do not impute bad motives. And we'll see where it is, but it should be, if I take a look at the Watchtower. Oh yeah, they have made it very difficult to search for these things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my old Watchtower, and the old Watchtower library, which has been updated with the new information. It's the Watchtower Library 2017, but with the new updates. And I'm going to put in the keyword impute motives. And it should be 1980. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to take that out. They make it very hard to search for these things now. Here it is. 1980. Okay, folks, here it is. Watchtower 1980, 4-1. Beware of imputing wrong motives to others. And it is on page 14. And yeah, so 1980, this is the Watchtower volume they don't want you to really have, which is why they start at this weird 1981. And it's under the heading, When Our Motives Are Questioned. When Our Motives Are Questioned. And it has a paragraph saying, an especially difficult situation exists when a person gets counsel from someone who misjudges his motives. Whatever might be said in defense may be viewed as self-justification. In reality, however, the counsel may not apply because not all factors have been taken into consideration. Still, some well-meaning counselors may tend to question your motives if you try to point out the real situation. Hence, if the point in question is of little importance, you may choose not to say anything further to correct the counselor's view, provided that no harmful results are to be expected from remaining silent. So imagine what harmful things there would be. It goes on to say, but it is not always required that you simply say nothing if your position or motives have been misunderstood. Obviously, it would be morally wrong to allow a lie to stand unchallenged. There are instances when it is appropriate to explain your position or attitude calmly so that your conscience is at ease because you know that at least you made an effort to clarify matters instead of being guilty of weakly admitting to a false charge. Thereby, the counselor may benefit too, especially as regards developing balance in the giving of counsel. So I don't know how useful that is to you, that watchtower, but that watchtower 1980 is the so-called problem watchtower, because I'll give from my personal experience when I've presented it, they've gone, yeah, let's move on. In other words, they've just brushed it aside. They're not interested in this reference. They know about it, they recognize it, but it creates a problem, especially when they're trying to control a narrative when there has been a potential liability, or one of their leaders, it's a fiduciary or a key member or a circuit overseer or something like that, who's given a direction, congregation has acted on that direction, broken law, and it's traced the liability back. Then that becomes a problem. They don't necessarily want persons to follow that 1980 watchtower. Okay.
I was just getting ready to ask you which watchtower it was, but I'm looking at the comments and Rosie has April 1st, 1980. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's it. January, February, March, April. Yeah, that's the one. I am going to put it in the comments. How about it? Yeah.
This is one of those things. I don't know if you've noticed, but it doesn't matter what year. If it's on April 1st, there's been a few unique watchtowers that have came out on April 1st, and it's like, for real? I'm serious. April 1st with this organization, they've released some really unique things on an April 1st. It could be any year. Okay, so you do know this. Okay, it's not just me. I'm like, nah, April 1st? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Linda James, I have put it in the chat box, live chat, and we are at live 2 hours, 37 minutes or 36 minutes.
Okay. I went to touch my computer and it went off, and I thought, uh-oh, so I just got on with this other device. I'll have to look at that computer later. So
Dallas is feeling so relaxed right now. So
I know, huh?
I think we've done our job.
I think so too. And I'm not I'm having a hard time finding my words, and I think it's because I need protein on my brain. I'm not opposed to closing up early and not going for a 3 hours tonight, because we've had that time earlier where we took time to honor Vinnie Vincent, and then we started this live chat, and it's been quite a day, and I'm glad we separated them. And I've really enjoyed the way the conversations have gone tonight. John Mars says, Watchtower articles of the 80s were crazy as the 70s. Let me tell you, I grew up on 1975. I can remember clearly being 4 years old and my little legs could not go down off the chair. Like the calves of my legs, I remember them like just at the end of the chair. And I'm looking at a watchtower that says, why are you looking forward to 1975? Like that's a thing I heard constantly. It was preached, it was taught all the time.
So Borna JW just asked, is that paragraph saying it's okay to challenge a policy? The answer is yes, if it's breaking law. Or let's use this one that I've been using. Let's say Jeffrey Jackson under oath says, hey, corporal punishment is wrong, but then elders are using an old outline from the governing body that contradicts that. So yes, that would apply. And when they tell you that you cannot put it in writing, that's also a load of nonsense. Because if there has been an emotionally challenging situation, the Watchtower also says that you can put it in writing. Though they will fight you and tell you that that is not policy. You counteract it. You say, no, sorry, no, not listening to you on this. No, I am giving you a counter argument on this, and I don't expect you to agree with me. Linda James, so that's it. So time to close up shop, hey? Linda James, I think we've lost you.
Yes, I think so. I think that would be good. Dallas, are you awake? Nope, that would be snoring. Okay. That's our homeboy right there. That's our Dallas. We love him. We love him.
Linda James, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to mute him. And can you take us out tonight?
Yes, I can. I can thank all that have been participating. Linda James, you've been a great host, as always. You've facilitated the freeness to be able to participate. And so that's always most gracious of you. So thank you very much. Thank you for also dignifying Vinny as well. And that's part of healing community too, because there's persons who developed relationships with him and have gotten used to his program. And of course, we hope that those programs are going to stay as well, because there's some really great information there too. But more than that, there's just the humanity side and the sense of feeling. But some of our standout commenters, Borna JW, you've contributed tremendously there. Borna JW saying thank you very much. Jay Mars, thank you also for your positive side. Sheila, thank you also for getting around. And many more that have been keeping the conversation alive in the chat. Teller Media, Rosie, you're more Mage Grey Wolf. And who else have I not mentioned here? If I haven't mentioned you, sorry about that. Rosie, you're another one that's there who's been contributing. So thank you very, very much. And if I haven't mentioned you, sorry if I've overlooked you, but thank you very, very much for those comments. Thank you for contributing to these lively discussions. And I think it's appropriate to say that you are the reasons that we are here. So please go well. We're signing off. Have a great week until we meet again, or until there is a notice. Thank you very, very much. Deep gratitude and appreciation.
Thank you. That was perfect.
I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotions.